This video will show you how to replace the ignition switch on a Chrysler 300. This will be located next to your steering column. Let's get into it. Okay friend, let's get started on our job. We're going to have to disconnect our negative battery terminal. For that, let's make our way into the trunk. Now we are making our way into the trunk. Once you have the area cleaned, we're going to lift up on the access panel. That exposes our spare tire, our battery, and our fuse box. Use a 10mm to loosen the nut enough that we can remove the terminal end from the battery. Just a quick inspection of that. We want to make sure it's not corroded or damaged in any way. We're going to set it aside so it's making no contact here. Now that we've completed that, we're in the passenger compartment of the vehicle. We can see where our steering wheel and our steering column is. We need to make our way towards where our ignition switch is going to be located, just behind our ignition lock cylinder. Now we have to dislodge this circular bezel. For this, I'm just using a plastic trim tool. I'll make my way gently in between, pry this out of place. Just a quick inspection of that. Now we have to remove the rest of this plastic bezel. I'm going to continue on with my plastic trim tool. This makes its way all the way across the top of the steering column. We'll just gently pry. Let's make our way all the way over the driver's side of the dash. We're going to remove this plastic panel. You might find a ridge you can get underneath by hand, or you can continue on with your plastic trim tool. We have two locking tabs there. Now just behind that in the center, you're going to find a 7mm headed mounting bolt. Let's remove that. Make our way down underneath the dash now. We're going to start removing this plate. So for this, you're going to find another 7mm bolt. Should be able to take hold of this. We're going to try to give it a little wiggle here. Start sliding it. Now we do have a wiring harness located behind here. And of course we have our cable for our emergency brake release. As far as this wiring harness, there's a small locking tab. We want to gently pry that up. Of course, a quick inspection for corrosion every time we disconnect an electrical connector. Now let's just rest this aside, putting no pressure on our cable. Now just behind that, we have a metal plate that we have to remove next. There's 4 10mm headed mounting bolts, 2 for each side. We're holding the panel. Once you have that removed, just a quick inspection, a little bit of rust is fine. We're moving up towards where our ignition lock cylinder is. If you're looking above it and below it, you're going to find 2 8mm headed mounting nuts, but there's one more mounting nut just underneath this area. It's pretty much just straight up and down. Now as I reach inside this area, I'm taking hold of the entire cylinder. I'm going to start pulling it inboard towards the inner dash. Now we're going to have to maneuver it around so we can bring it down and gain access to our electrical connectors and cable along the inboard side there. The cable is what's hanging us up. We just want to be careful not to cause any damage to anything as we twist this and bring it out to a workable position. So we can see our ignition lock cylinder. Right along the back side of it is where our ignition switch is. We have our electrical connector. This has a red locking tab. Just use your small pocket screwdriver. You can use a pick if necessary. We're going to carefully start pulling that outward. You don't need to fully remove it. There's a locking tab. Go ahead and squeeze that in and we'll dislodge this. A quick inspection for corrosion. That looks good. Now if you were looking at this, you're going to find several different screws, but there's really only one that we want to pay attention to right here. This is a T10 Torx screw. Once we have that off, we should be able to slide this out of place. Now that we have that screw out of there, let's start turning this again. Now we can see our ignition lock cylinder and where the ignition switch are. Looking right in between the two, there's actually two locking tabs. There's one in this square port, and there's a second one just underneath this area as well. We need to squeeze both of them in at the same time. For this, you can use some angled pliers if necessary. While I'm squeezing those in, I need to also be gently pressing this outward. Now that I have it broken free, I can completely slide that out of place. Prior to installation of any brand new part, of course we need to make sure we clean and inspect the mounting area. We'll just have a look at that mounting surface. We have this rod that makes its way out. We also have our two locking tabs. Everything here is in good working order. So it's time for installation of our brand new ignition switch. When we go to install this, we need to make sure we have the area for our locking tabs aligned, and we also need to make sure we have our mounting bolt port aligned as well. As you start pressing this in, you may find it only goes in so far. Now, if that's the case, you're going to be using your ignition key. We'll put it inside the lock cylinder. We're going to carefully start turning it. While I'm turning, I'm also gently applying pressure to my switch along the rearward side there. I'll work it one direction and the other, continuously pressing, and it's going to lock in. Once it is locked in, just go ahead and remove that key. We're going to give this a slight wiggle. You should find that the two locking tabs are holding it. Let's install our one screw along the rearward side here. Now, as far as this screw, it's a good idea to start it in by hand, and we're just going to lightly snug it. Right there is bottomed out. We're just taking it a tiny bit further. We do not want to cause any damage, but we do need to make sure it's properly secured in place. We'll continue on with our electrical connector next. Now, as we bring our electrical connector over, we're making sure we're in the unlocked position. If this red tab does happen to slide all the way out, that's okay. Should be able to slide it in approximately halfway. Now we'll just take this, we're pressing it on as far as possible. Now, after an audible click, we'll make sure we lock it in with our secondary lock as well. The next thing that we're going to do is get this in place back in the dash area. We want to make sure we have it in the proper orientation. You're going to see three mounting studs. This one that looks like it's off to the side on my application here should actually be on the bottom, so this would be twisted like this. This is going to be at the bottom, then we have our other two mounting studs. We need to make sure we have the proper angle on this. There it is, right there. We want it to come straight forward and rearward here, not at an angle one direction or the other. Install all three of your mounting nuts. We're starting them in. Once they're all started in, just go ahead and snug them up. Time for the lower shield here. Start getting this in place. Now let's get our plastic shield in place. We're going to connect our trunk release button. Now, as we bring this up towards the dash of the vehicle, you're going to find that there's several slots in this area making its way across. If you were looking at the panel itself, you're going to find that it has locking tabs for those to make their way into. Let's start aligning this, and we'll press it forward into the locked position. We'll press on the lower corner here. As we make our way across the bottom, we have our one mounting screw. There we go. Now, along the driver's side, outer aspect of the dash, we have the area for our 7mm bolt here. Now let's continue on to our outer panel. We have our two locking tabs. We'll just make sure we align those. We'll press this in. It's time for this plastic trim panel. Coming up nice and high, up over the steering column, gently flex it. We're going to align and press forward. There we go. Double check to make sure that's secured all the way around here. Now we have our circular bezel. Now as for this bezel, you can see that there are words. They should go across the top here. Make sure we align this. Press it in, listen for an audible click from that as well. Now we can pause in the passenger compartment. We have to make our way to the trunk, and we're going to reconnect our negative battery terminal. Make sure there's no buildup or miscellaneous corrosion, and we'll rest that along top of the battery. Press it down as far as possible and tighten your 10mm mounting nut until this is completely snug. Right there is where it bottoms out, just a tiny bit further. Double check to make sure it's secured in place. Okay friend, we finished our installation. The next thing you need to do is insert the key and test the functionality. Aside from that, thanks for watching.
When only the best will do, demand TRQ. The only company that lets you view before you do. TRQ is committed to offering the highest quality aftermarket auto parts that are engineered for peace of mind. Thanks for using and viewing with TRQ.